When I very first started learning about investing, I learned about it from someone, and the way he talked to his sellers was completely different than the way he talked to his investors. His investors were best buddies. The seller was like, "Ooh, let's see how much we could squeeze him for." That was not going to be me. I stopped talking to that guy. But I was talking about the last employers. Like, I wanted someone that was going to be kind to me. I love being kind to people. I love helping people. I just wanted like a mutually beneficial relationship, and everything just seems to work out. I might get taken advantage every once in a while, but I'm a pretty good judge of character. But you know what? You screw me over, I got you out of my life cheap. Yep. I'm never going to deal with you again. That's fine. And I found out exactly who you are. And I only surround myself with great people.
What's up, guys and gals? Coming at you with another episode of the Carrot Cast, and I've got an amazing guest with me today. I'll introduce you to Keith here in a jiffy. It's the first time I've ever said that on the podcast, a jiffy. But I will introduce you guys to here in a bit. And guys, the first time I met Keith actually was a few weeks ago at Carrot Camp, at our last Carrot Camp. And I remember looking at his business name. The business title was Kind Home Buyers. I'm like, this guy's probably a pretty nice dude if he named his thing Kind Home Buyers. But guys, the reason he's on the podcast, right? And there's a lot of reasons he's on the podcast, actually. And you guys are gonna hear and really learn why I've been so attracted to Keith. Man, just the last few weeks we've got to know each other. I'm following your stories on Instagram all the time, and on Facebook. Are you on Facebook or Instagram or both? I know I'm following you somewhere where I see it.
Both.
So I'm seeing it everywhere. He's built an amazing wholesaling business up here in the Pacific Northwest, and he does some stuff in Texas, I believe, now too. But the biggest thing is his story and the mindset shifts that he has had to make over the past year and a half to 2 years to go from where he was to where he is today. And he's midway through a challenge I tossed out to all Carrot Campers at Carrot Camp. And there's a few guys. Brent Moreno's tackling the challenge and crushing it. You got Jonathan Tran, and then you have Mr. Keith Stant. I want you guys to get to know Keith Stant from Kind House Buyers up in Washington. But Keith, welcome to the Carrot Cast, man.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate being here. I feel super blessed, and thanks for inviting me.
Dude, so it was pretty darn cool. I can't remember if it was in the application for Carrot Camp or when we got down here to talk, or both. But one of the things that was really cool initially was you said, man, I had first heard you talking about Carrot Camp on a podcast, which is one I think I probably did a year and a half ago or something like that. Sure, I said, hey, I'm just going to do a podcast talking about Carrot Camp because I'm so passionate about it. I want to get more amazing people here because I really believe we can change their businesses and change their lives when we get a chance to hang out with them for a couple of days in our ecosystem. And Keith, why don't you tell the story, man? So you said you'd heard the podcast and then you wanted to make it up here, but you didn't qualify. Kind of what was the scenario around there?
Yeah, and it's funny because I never listened to another podcast before. It was all audiobooks. That was just my thing. Mm-hmm. I jumped on this podcast. You started talking about Carrot Camp. I think it was like my second episode I ever listened to. It was like 45 minutes long. I mean, you're talking about all the benefits, all the awesome people, just the mindset, just everything. And then right at the end, it's like, but you have to be making 100 grand or more. And I was like, oh, Trevor, I was sad for like 10 seconds. And then it was a Jim Rohn quote, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. So I just stepped up my game. And at that point, I didn't even really have a goal. I did some wholesale deals. It's like more of a proof of concept. I was just super excited to, get some checks. I'm like, because before that I was screen printing and I'd have to work, month and a half to get the same size check as one wholesale deal.
Let's reverse it back here because you're out here at Carrot Camp and when you did your presentation, it's really cool because you kind of gave a little glimpse into your journey the past year and a half. And you recently had a month where you did, 8 deals or something like that in 1 month.
It was insane.
and I want to dive into that here in a little bit because if you guys are watching the video version of this podcast, you should have saw Keith's face because it wasn't like this. Oh my gosh, yes, massive smile. I did 8 deals. At Carrot Camp, he said, I did 8 deals and it was kind of miserable. And we're going to talk about that here in a bit and some of the things that he can do and is doing to really make sure that the business is exactly what he wants. But let's take it all the way back. Let's go back, before real estate. What were you doing, Keith, before you decided to get into real estate and wholesaling?
So before, I was screen printing. I never considered myself an entrepreneur. I never like put those words. I was just telling you a minute ago, I don't eat meat, but I don't call myself a vegetarian. But I never really had a job. I've had 2 jobs. They both lasted 3 months, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't work for someone that didn't like value me as a person, as whatever. I wanted to go to school because I actually dropped out of school when I was 15, got my GED on my 16th birthday. I always told myself, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to go to college. And my little brother was graduating. I'm like, man, he's not much smarter than me. I could probably pull it off. So I went back to school, and unfortunately they don't have a degree for entrepreneurship, but I figured it out, and I actually went into marketing because that was what I was the worst at. I didn't know how to sell anything. I was good at making things, and I would let my quality speak for itself. It's such high quality, you got to buy it from me. I took a marketing degree. I graduated, and I just thought I was going to be doing more screen printing. I always wanted to get into real estate, but I just thought the barrier to entry was just way too high.
So what was the first thing that got you into real estate? Was it a book you read? Was it like, where did that initial thing grab you?
I was talking to my friend. He's actually a partner for a while down in Texas, and he was doing some flips at the time. His name was Beto, and I was learning about real estate, and I heard about wholesaling, and I was like, what's this? And he's like, I tried it, but it just wasn't that great at it. He was really good at sales. He'd get him in a room. He's great, but actually doing the marketing, and we just, worked hard real quick, got a wholesale deal that month, and it was just on from there.
Dude, so I kind of want to dive into that. Let's set a little bit of context here. So first of all, if you don't mind sharing like whatever numbers you're comfortable sharing, if you don't want to share it, don't share it. What's the size of your business now as far as people? Is it just you? Do you have anyone else helping you with certain things? And then next, for context for people, this year in 2019, the time that we're recording this, about how many deals do you think that you'll do this year on an estimate?
So the size of my business, it's varied. I tried a few different things. I've had some partners, and it gets a little hairy because I still do work in Texas. But like right now, it's me, strategic partnerships with some other wholesalers. I do a lot of JVs, and I got my assistant Jessica. She's in Honduras, and she's just a godsend.
And then how many deals are you guys on pace to do this year, 2019?
Up in Washington, it's about 25.
Dude, and that's a big deal because, like I said, a little over a year ago, you listened to the podcast, you saw that there's $100,000 a year income qualification for the Carrot Camp, and you're like, man, I'm going to go out there and qualify for this darn thing. And so you've made over $100,000 this past 12 months, which is amazing. You've done a couple dozen deals up in Washington. You did 8 in 1 month recently, and you're starting to kind of ramp some of that stuff up. How did you get the first deal, Keith? Because I always like to really take it back to that first win, man. Like celebrating the first win is a big deal because a big light bulb goes off. Go, oh my gosh, I thought this thing was crazy, crazy hard. I finally did it, and it was finally possible. So what was the marketing? What type of a deal was it? Was that one up in Washington? Was it down in Texas? Kind of explain that deal for me.
I actually started in Texas about a year before I started up here, but I mean, I'll mention the one up here first, just because that was, the biggest win for me, because I did, everything basically. It was right around January, and it's a little context too. So I knew I wanted to jump up here. I knew I was in South Texas. There was no way I was going to hit $100,000 a year with a partnership in South Texas. Those South Texas numbers they just weren't going to happen. Yep. So like, in August, I started a carrot site for up here, but I didn't plant one Bandit sign. I didn't do any real marketing until January 1st. I got my first deal 3 days later. Yeah. So, and it was from Craigslist.
Really?
It was a Craigslist. Yeah.
So you posted an ad on Craigslist. Do you remember kind of what you had posted and where you posted it? Because we have a Craigslist course, and Craigslist changes so much. We got to always try to kind of update it. But where did you post that thing, and about what did it say, if you remember?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what the ad said. I have 2 different versions. I have one that's like, hey, we're kind house buyers. We bought a bunch of houses in this area. We could buy yours too. Here are the advantages of working with us. And then I had another one that was like, hey, my name's Keith. I just finished up a flip, and I'm looking for the next house. If you have a house that needs some love, hit me up. So it's kind of like hitting those 2 different mindsets. But I primarily post in the services section, because no one else does it really. And they stay up for 30 days. They don't get flagged. It's $5. But everyone wants the free stuff. People are flagging each other. It's just that whole, I just stay away from that. Just go over here. I post one ad every Friday. So even though they're up for 4 weeks, I'll at any one given time, I'll have 4 ads in the stream of services. I do real estate services, moving services, and the contractors or like contractors for hire.
Cool. So you're talking under $100 a month in your Craigslist budget anyway. If you're doing kind of like $5 here, $5 here, somewhere under $100 to post those puppies. And did they call you up? Did they go to your website? Kind of how did that person end up reaching out to you?
Both of them called. I didn't have a lot of tracking other than I had a separate phone number for Craigslist. Cool. So I didn't set up the tracking yet at that point. So I knew if they called from Craigslist.
Yep. I love it, man. I love it. So what happened next? You got the first deal done. You celebrated that one. And do you remember how much, of course you remember, dude, how much was that check? Like that win, even if it was $10, like getting your first one done all by yourself was amazing. But how much was that first win for you, man?
$8,900.
That's amazing. $8,900 from a $5 Craigslist ad, but then a bunch of blood, sweat, and tears and learning how to make it happen. What was the scenario of that seller, and how did you help them out? How did you win that deal and help them out?
The seller was actually an investor. They bought a house, and it had a second little house in the back that was red tagged, and so they got the property subdivided. It was literally 3 days after they got it subdivided, they called me. Really? So they got it like on the 28th or something of December, right at the end, and maybe 5-6 days, but like the second, third day of January, they called me. I mean, this thing was gutted to the core, and it wasn't even a real house. It was like one of those modular homes that they had on foundation. But, the guy, like me, he had a bad back, and he just had surgery. So he wasn't going to be able to finish up. They did all their own work. And so they decided, they got enough money off the front house, let's sell the back.
So you wholesale it to someone. It sounds like, where'd you find the buyer?
A Bandit sign. I put a Bandit sign, cash only, 3-2, 109,000 right down the road.
I love it, dude. So I want to kind of break apart your marketing mix here. So you've done 20 something deals up into a pretty darn competitive market. I mean, that Northwest Washington market is not easy. I'm assuming, being the Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia area up there. What does your marketing mix look like now, Keith? So you got the first deal done with Craigslist. You're still continuing to post on Craigslist. You brought up Bandit signs, which we'll post in the show notes. If you guys are on the blog, if you're on the website, go to carrot.com/blog, or just go to carrotcast.com. We're going to post a picture of Keith's handsome mug smiling in front of his truck here in front of Carrot Camp, holding up one of his Bandit signs. This is the coolest thing because he opens up his truck and there's just stacks of Bandit signs in there. And Keith had said, he goes, I always pack some around with me because, and we'll talk about his Bandit sign strategy here in a second, but he said, I always pack some around with me because I always try to drop Bandit signs when I'm driving in places. Like that's just kind of part of his thing. We'll talk about it. But what is your marketing mix now, Keith? So I know you're doing online stuff with Carrot. I'm logging into your Carrot site now, and you're getting a good amount of traffic to your site. Looks like between paid search, a little bit of organic, a little bit of social. Then you're doing your Bandit signs. What does your mix look right now? Where do your deals come from?
It's a little bit of everything. I mean, I've been getting some referrals, some Craigslist, Facebook. I started doing a lot of ringless voicemail and text messages. And then, PPC. That was a game changer for me. I was super stoked that I started doing that. And then, just the organic traffic.
Cool. So let's kind of shift to the online side, and then I want to break down the Bandit sign side of it first, and then next. And then what I want to dive in after this, guys, I want to dive into mindset, because this is the part that we definitely want to break down what Keith is doing in his business, but I'm most pumped to talk about the mindset shift stuff. So hang with us here in a second. We're going to get through breaking apart the marketing mix, and then we're going to shift to mindset. So on the online side, you set up a Carrot site in August was that August last year or August this year up in Washington?
Last year.
Cool. So about a year and a half.
2018, yeah.
I love it. So once that happened, what did you start to do to drive traffic to it? Because one question that does come up quite a bit with our newer customers, especially ones in more competitive markets, they're like, cool, I got the site up. Now what do I do next? So what did you start to do that got traction and starting to get you leads and closing deals?
I mean, honestly, I just Craigslist. I went to the Facebook marketplace, and this was like my Friday night, like everyone else was going out, drinking, whatever. My Friday night was post my Craigslist ads for the week. Cause at that time too, I was still doing it in the real estate services. I was getting flagged, but I did it everywhere. And also the Facebook marketplace, actually my Bandit signs as well. But those are my three main spots.
I love it. So you were doing a bunch of stuff that's either low cost or free with that. And people were either picking up the phone, calling you, or possibly going to your website if they could find you. And then when did you start to turn on PPC, and why did you choose to dive into that? Because like I said, I'm looking at your site now, the majority of your traffic is currently coming from PPC. So when did you start it? Why did you start it? What kind of results have you got so far?
Like you said, I was low cost. I was thinking that's what everyone has said, the cheapest cost per lead. So that's what I was all about.
Mm-hmm.
I dove in really hard. I was doing a lot of ringless voicemail. I had my cost per lead down to like $11. I was driving all over town. It was like my close rate was like 1 in 35. So, that's 35 offers, 35, follow-ups, 35, just everything to get one deal. And it was just super exhausting for just me. I probably could have milked that for a little bit more. And also, my closing skills could have been better at the time. I got hooked up with a killer PPC guy. And it's crazy because I literally closed the very first leads that I got through PPC. So I was like, heck yeah.
This thing's amazing.
Yeah. So, and I think my close rate on that's like 1 in 10 right now.
That right there is such a big deal. And that's something I want people to really know and recognize because not all leads are created equal, right? And that's something where they're always kind of comparing their lead amount. Not the volume of leads, but like, oh man, I'm getting leads for $42 a lead, or I'm getting leads for blah. And that's a really dangerous game. It's a really dangerous game because number one, like you said, this one lead that costs $11 is 1 in 30 or so close. You close it. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and add these numbers up here. So if those leads cost $11 and it was about 30 deals or 30 leads to get a deal, you're talking about $300 a deal, which is still not bad, right? But that doesn't include your time. That doesn't include all the opportunity costs of you driving all over the place and making all these offers. So the actual cost is way higher than the $300. So yes, $300 in hard costs is what it costs, but then probably well over $1,000 per closed deal, maybe even multiple thousands, including your time and all that stuff. So you're closing 1 in 10 over on the PPC side. What are some of those stats there? What's your average cost per lead there? We'll kind of work the numbers back.
I don't have the cost per lead in front of me. It varies. I've been playing with a lot of stuff, but right now my cost per deal on the PPC side is about $3,000.
Cool. So if we take the estimates from earlier, so 3,000 divided by 10, if it's a 1 in 10 close, 1 in 10 lead close ratio, it's about $300. So $300 per lead on this. Now, this is the cool thing, y'all. What's your average profit per deal on those types of deals, Keith?
About right now, I'm averaging about 15,800.
I love it. So guys, let's add those numbers up. Okay. Cause a lot of people, they'll come to me and say, man, my PPC doesn't work the same way it did 2 years ago. And Keith, you've actually had a big advantage because if you would have been doing PPC 2-3 years ago and you're comparing that against the numbers you're now seeing, there's a lot of people that are stopping their PPC because like, oh man, my cost per lead has doubled or gone up 50%. You saw Brian Rockwell here at Carrot Camp where he showed his PPC stats. And I don't remember exactly what the number was, but it seems like I think it doubled. I think it did in the past year to 18 months. And a lot of people are just giving up their PPC because they're looking at the lead number instead of at the top end of how much money am I actually making. So Keith here is trading all day long, paying $300 per lead and earning about 15 grand, on the gross profit or net profit. I'm not sure which one it is, but still it's a really, really good trade. So I would take that all day long. And there's some things too that we can dive into, Keith, to get it dialed in even further, to get your conversion rate up on your site even more, possibly because I see a bunch of visits on there. So it's definitely converting on the lower end of what we normally see. That could be broad keywords that are going out there, whatever it is. There's the cool thing is, man, there's a lot of room for optimization, even scaling things up. You're already crushing it where it is. I love it. So how many of your deals per month right now, or I guess is PPC pulling deals out every month for you, or is it kind of every other month kind of thing? What's the cadence?
I slowed it down a little bit. Like I said, I did 8 deals that month and I was like, I got to slow down. I got to actually, and that was just, step back a little bit, stop working in my business, work on it, try to really focus on my leadership and get some good hires.
Cool.
But I've closed at least 1 deal every month. like at least one from PPC.
Dude.
And my ad spend's about $3,000. So some of them I've done 2, and yeah.
Yep. I love it. And I kind of want to, I'll wrap the PPC side with this, guys, is just kind of doing the math. I'd like everyone to take out a piece of paper, kind of as you're listening to this. If you're driving, don't take out a piece of paper, just listen through it. And maybe when you get home or something like that. But it's the whole max cost per deal, max cost per lead calculation that I'm always talking about. And when you remove emotion from the equation and you just follow math, then you get results like Keith is getting, where he knows that he's willing to trade about $3,000 to get a deal. And if you start to look at that, a lot of people will ask me, well, cool, how much results could I get for $1,000 in PPC a month? And I'm like, man, I don't know. I mean, it's not the right question. I heard a quote from one of those smart guys like Jim Rohn or whatever, that the quality of your answers is as good as the quality of your question. And so they're asking me, how much can I get for $1,000 a month in PPC? And I just fire back at them, well, let me ask you a bunch of questions. So how much does an average deal cost you in your market? And let's say with direct mail, it's $3,000. I'm like, cool. So you're willing to trade $3,000 for a deal. Awesome. What's the average profit per deal? Okay, let's work that out. And then I end up going, cool. Well, how many deals per month do you want to do with this marketing method? Well, I'd love to do at least one. Okay, awesome. So the $1,000 that you were suggesting before, if we make those same assumptions, you should be ready to pay $3,000 to get a deal using this marketing method as well. And you shouldn't stop before then. So therefore, it's either going to take you 3 months to get one of those deals with $1,000 a month, or you need to ramp up your ad spend and get rid of emotion, drop the $3,000 with a high converting website, a good person that's managing your ads, and great follow up. So it's just a really good illustration, man. And when you actually execute the plan and remove that emotion, inject math, that it works. And then from here, you can choose to scale up or scale down or do whatever you want to do.
Absolutely.
Dude, so Bandit signs. Here at Carrot Camp, you walked us through some of your Bandit sign strategy, and I wish we could take that video and post it. There were a few from that. I'm like, man, I'd love to take those videos, but those are in the Carrot Camp vault. Only Carrot Camp alumni get to see those videos. It's from the past 4 or 5 Carrot Camps. So if you guys want to come to the next Carrot Camp and see these amazing investors really drop knowledge on y'all, from the mindset side to the marriage side to the marketing side, show up to the next Carrot Camp, carrotcamp.com. But what are you doing on the Bandit sign strategy, dude? You're like balls to the wall doing amazing on the Bandit sign stuff. What are you doing?
I mean, everything I try to do it as best as I can. I try not to I try not to do anything half away. Mm-hmm. And so when it came to the Bandit signs, I wanted a good phone number. I got a repeating digit phone number. It was $300. It was like $299. And then also no one else was doing it. I put my website on there. Mm-hmm. And, I understand there's a lot of places that people are, getting in trouble, blah, blah, blah. It just wasn't the case for me. Mm. And then another thing too, like you said, I'm in a very competitive market. I didn't want to just go toe to toe with everyone. I didn't even go into, I've never put a Bandit sign in Seattle. I've never, I go all the outskirt little cities. Even one day I was way out, almost in the woods at this point. And I'm like, why am I going to put a Bandit sign here? No joke. The guy called me from that Bandit sign way out in the sticks because he just inherited a house in Auburn, and boom, that was a $30,000 deal. But I almost talked myself out of putting it down. But yeah, I just try to, just try to do everything, just my phone number, try to get it as big as you can. We're multiple lanes out here. I want to be able to see it. If I'm able to put it at T intersection, I want people to see it. Same with the website. I've had a lot of people say, oh, I've been seeing your Bandit signs around town, so I figured I'd give you a call. I'm like, well, you're calling me from my website. Mm. So they called me after going and Googling and found me, and then they decided to call.
Dude, and that right there, that's one critical part. So there's a lot of people that talk about, well, I do offline marketing, I don't need a website, or I've got a little crappy website, it's good enough. I just mainly do cold calling, I mainly do direct mail, I mainly do Bandit signs. And what's happening, y'all, is with that scenario, that person likely pulled up your website at their cell phone. Okay. And when I look at your stats right now, I'm logged into your website. I don't know why the stats are this way. It's kind of crazy. This is the highest I've seen in a long time. But it's like 90% of your visitors are from mobile. I mean, a bunch of them are from social media, but it says 90% of your visitors are from mobile. And the critical thing there is you got to make sure your website is amazing on a mobile device. And that's what we help Keith do with Carrot, of course. And it's going to convert great on a mobile. It's going to work amazingly well on a mobile, and it loads faster than any other website system in the industry by far. Like, it's not even close. So that's going to be critical there. So you're dropping Bandit signs everywhere. How many Bandit signs are you dropping on a given month, man? Kind of do you have a certain cadence, or are you always trying to keep Bandit signs in certain areas? What's your strategy?
So 120. I do 30 a week. And then sometimes I do more. I got a guy that puts them out. And then, like you said, you saw some in the back of my truck, because I just made it a rule. Whenever I leave my house, I put down 2. Like, that's not that hard. And especially I already see places, just places I'm already out. Let's just do it. So I dropped 2.
Dude, I love it. So this right here, I've got a couple more questions here on the real estate side. Then we're going to move over to the mindset side. But one of the things that really struck me, and it was really cool, we kind of brought it up a little bit earlier in this call, where you mentioned the month that you did 8 deals. And 8 deals is a lot of deals, especially for just a one-man show, right? And but you were able to do it. That's the cool thing. Like, you're a one-man show. You've got your assistant in Honduras, I think you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you probably have some other help elsewhere, just with some outsourced type stuff. But you're a one-man show. But the thing that struck me, man, was it wasn't like a celebration. And I think that's a big lesson, right? So what happened that month when you did 8 deals, and how did it feel? And let's talk about that, because that's like, a lot of people would say, man, that's this amazing thing. I did $100,000 in a month, or whatever the number was that you did that month. How did that feel, and how was it different than how you thought it would feel?
I was just tired. I was insanely tired. We've been, doing our little routines, trying to, go to the gym every day, eat healthy, like these few different things that just set you off right for the day, for success, whatever. Like, I was skipping those things because I didn't have time, because I was working from like 6 a.m. sometimes, because, phones are ringing in Texas at 8, and, like, that's 8 o'clock there. I'm at 6. Like, it was insane. I was just so freaking tired. Mm-hmm. And even 4 of those deals were JV'd. So like, they were, those people were supposed to be handling some of the stuff, but I still got a ton of questions I'm answering. I still was picking up a lot of slack. But yeah, I wasn't happy. I wasn't any more happy than the month before when I did 5.
That's such a funny little phenomenon too. But the funny thing is, we all kind of have to experience it ourselves to believe it, because someone will listen to you saying this and go, oh, that guy's like talking about how tired he was, and he did whatever the amazing revenue, probably more in 1 month than you probably were making in a year before,
Yeah, way more,
right? And so there's people listening to this going, well, yeah, but like, it won't happen when I experience that, or I want to experience it for myself. And I agree. Like, we're not telling anyone to not be ambitious. That's not what the goal is here. I think the main thing here is to make sure that you're focusing on the right things. And so many real estate investors, they're comparing their deal numbers. Hey, I do 8 deals a month. Well, this person over here is doing a deal every 3 months, but they're massive deals, or they're apartment deals. And they're able to kind of pull back and just have a better pace of life, have a slower pace, not to be grinding themselves in the pulp. Well, you have these guys over here competing and going, man, I'm doing 8, I'm doing 12, I'm doing 22, I'm doing this. One Carrot Camp, man, we had Matt and his team, which he has a bigger team, but they closed 30 deals that 1 month down in LA, 30. But he had a bigger team. And that's where I kind of want to transition here is after that month, kind of where are you going, Keith, as far as what are your aspirations moving forward? Are you wanting to keep the volume up, or get the volume up, but build a team to handle it so it's not all weighted on you? Or are you kind of going, you know what, I kind of know what I want my business to look like now, and it's this, and it's something that looks like this. I'd be pumped about this. It's manageable. Kind of where do you want to go now after you experience the big month?
There's all kinds of little things that I can improve on. I wouldn't mind keeping it around 8, but I know I could get my profit per lead up, and I could work with some awesome people. Yep. My partner down in Texas, I loved working with him. Even though we talked every day, it's just amazing, positive. I want to be working with some great people that I like hanging out with every day. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't need more money or more, more whatever. I just want to have fun and maybe squeeze some of the profit out, here and there. There's all kinds of little spots that I can plug some holes.
Dude, and it's so funny because years ago, it's probably like the second year at Carrot, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I was kind of faced with that same decision. When we had hit an income level at Carrot where 3 years before I'd started Carrot, I'm like, man, it'd be really cool to have a business that can get to this number, and it was kind of a number that at that time felt cool. It felt, well, once this number is reached, then everything else is going to become easier, and it's enough money to where I won't have to really think about money much. I'm not gonna be able to buy a jet or like go out there and buy a bunch of fancy cars, but it's enough where I won't have to think about it. The bills are paid plus some good extra and there's a cushion, but not so much to where it's like wealthy. And so then as soon as we passed that in like the second year of the business, this weird thing happened where you go, man, so I hit the goal and I didn't really celebrate it too hard. But do I just kind of coast now? Do I like tap the brakes? And now that we hit this thing that I had deemed earlier was the number and we're there and it just doesn't feel like anything really changed because I don't spend my money anyway. Like, do we tap the brakes and just like tap the brakes, tap the hours back, make it a lifestyle business? Or do I shift and go, man, this might be an opportunity to actually grow something. This might be an opportunity to attract amazing people, to build like a team, to build a culture, to build something that matters, to build something more than just a couple more bucks in my bank account or being able to live the 4-hour work week and go to the beach all the time. And for me anyway, my decision was, man, I'm sure I would love the beach. I'm sure I would love this and I'd love that, but I'd probably get tired of all that. So maybe I just want to build something that matters. Maybe I want to build something that matters and attract amazing people into the fold and see how big we can take this and really push my leadership skills. So it sounds like you're kind of leading into that direction as well. However big it gets, it might be you and one person. It might be you and 12 people. Who knows? But that's the cool thing, man, is you can make that decision. And I'm pumped about it. So what do you ultimately like if you were to close your eyes, Keith, and go, man, this is exactly what I would love my company to look like in 2 years and 3 years. What's that visual, man? Like, what would you love your company to look like?
First off, I mean, seeing you guys over at Carrot was just insane. I went to school, we learned about, I went to business school over at UW and they talk about company culture. They always, use Zappos as like a case study. And like, I never saw anything like that. And like, it was just insane seeing you guys, every single one of you, like, from Joaquin to, Kylie's just got the most infectious smile ever, to, Brady, freaking amazing. Just everyone there was just awesome and just so in sync. It was just insane. I can't even describe it. It was like you had to be there to even like, I don't know. It was awesome. If I could create something like that, just doing whatever, I'd be happy.
Dude, and that's the cool thing is you can. I know for me early on, I had these massive limiting beliefs. And the funny thing is we talked about being versus becoming, which we're going to make a shift to talk mindset here for about 10 minutes now. We talked about that there, but that was one thing, man, that let's say 4 years ago, I was so caught up in, man, well, this is the level of leader that I am. So therefore that places a cap on everything in my mind. If I'm this level of leader, there's no way I can grow a company over 10 million. There's no way I can grow a company with dozens of employees. I thought that was like miserable sounding. That was like the worst thing in the world, man. But then I started to get around people who said, well, yeah, maybe you're not that person now, but you can be. You can be. And here's some examples of how to do it. And then you plug into coaching. You get coaches, and that's what I did, man. I started to get coaches, and those coaches just walked me through all the stuff. And it hasn't been without bumps and bruises. We're even going through some minor stuff now, and just going, oh shoot, I didn't get that part of the company structure right, and now it's showing up, months later where we just honestly didn't serve a handful of our employees well with good job descriptions like we thought we had, and now we're having to kind of double back and go, oh man, we missed that one. Let's go back and fix it and make sure that they're taken care of and we're all good. I love it, dude. So I'm going to talk mindset stuff because, and I don't want to get too much into personal stuff and things like that. But at a really high level, on the way to dinner the last night, you shared with me your background, and man, I'm just so pumped that you shared it with me and you trusted me in that. And over the years, you've made mindset shifts. You had to make the first mindset shift to go to college and go, well, my brother can do it, I can definitely do it too, and then you had to make another mindset shift you got working. Then you went, well, shoot, maybe I could do this entrepreneurship thing. And you jumped into real estate. And now you're going through another mindset shift in your business to go, man, maybe I need to build like a team now and start to do something next. But at Carrot Camp, I talked about being versus becoming. It absolutely lit up Brent Moreno. He hasn't smoked since Carrot Camp. He's been running 3 miles a day. Like, I didn't ask him to do any of that stuff. But what were some of the big mental takeaways that you will start with Carrot Camp, but you took away from Carrot Camp specifically, because you took my challenge and you've been doing the push-up challenge and drinking the water and all that every single day since Carrot Camp, and it starts to rewire your brain. But what are some of the big mental takeaways you took away, and how do you feel it's going to impact you moving forward?
I mean, man, just that one question, when you wake up, like, you're hit with a series of questions every day. And, when they're hard questions, like, should I watch Netflix right now? Well, is that what you would do? Or, what would the person you want to become, what would they do in this situation? No, they wouldn't watch Netflix. Maybe they turn on a book, or maybe they, go spend some time with their daughter, whatever it is, and it was so funny because I made, that little 20-minute talk was gold. And it's so funny. Like, I just started doing the push-ups, and I'm not a social media guy. Like, if you go follow me on social media, you won't see much except for a couple motivational quotes. And now you see me doing push-ups every day. But I was talking to my dad on the phone about your talk, and like, he's like, Carrot Camp, what's that? But anyways, I didn't even realize my stepmom, it was on speaker, and she heard it. And I went and visited them not that long ago, and she actually printed it out. I thought it was my dad, but she did. She printed out basically that same thing. What would the person you want to become do? And had it on her desk. And it was just, and all the people that are like, oh, I'm going to join in too. That's so awesome. Like, you're such an inspiration. Like, that's what lights me up.
Dude, that's such a big deal. It's funny. My buddy Ryan Fletcher, I'm going to keep on giving him credit for a hunk of that stuff that I've been able to now feed to you guys and tons of other people. And the cool thing, that's the coolest thing, man, is seeing you guys post that stuff and then seeing other people comment that I've seen it from you. I've seen it on Jonathan Tran's. I've seen it on Brent Moreno's. And the quote that keeps popping up to me that I shared at Carrot Camp was, consistency is inspiring. Consistency is what's inspiring to us. Okay, the flash in the pan stuff might grab your eye, like that really flashy stuff, man, the fancy car or the whatever it is, that's going to grab your eye. It is, but then you're going to flip to the next person's thing on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But the person who is just like doing the boring stuff every single day, like doing the boring work every day, showing up and doing the push-ups every day and inspiring others to do it, doing this stuff every day that takes discipline and creates discipline, that's inspiring. And that's why, like, the first time you post the push-ups, that probably didn't inspire anybody. They're like, what is this guy doing? Like, doing push-ups on Instagram? Who does he think he is? He's like turning into an Instagram fitness model now. But then after like day 4 or 5, and you kind of explain what you're doing, then like week 1 and then week 2, people are starting to change their mind. Like, whoa, Keith has figured something out that I haven't. Like, what is within him that makes it so he's got that drive and discipline to do that, because I want that. And that's what's happening, man. People see the weakness in themselves, that weaker inner self starting to creep up. And it's been inspiring me too, man. Like, I see you and Jonathan Tran hitting it hard, and I hurt my shoulder, like I said a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, damn, I want to do the push-ups with those guys right now, because I started to lose some of my edge as I trickled off of the push-up train and had to then try to swap out something else in its place. That's a big deal. So how many days through the push-up challenge are you right now?
Geez, so I started at 27, and yesterday I hit 50. So today was 51. Mm-hmm. And I never did 50 push-ups in my life, not at one time.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
and that's a mindset.
Insane. Just one more every day. Mm-hmm. One more. I can't believe it's not that much harder. It's not like, I don't know. It's weird. I can't even explain it, but it's not that hard. And, with anything, a lot of things that I ever set out to do in life, like, I never really notice until I look back a year. Like, when I started listening to books, it was a game changer for me. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know. I listened to a book because I hated reading, and the very first writing class made me. So I found it on audio, and I'm like, yes. but yeah, and then I listened to one. Next thing you know, I think I've listened to over 300 books on Audible now, And your podcast, and people kept talking about podcasts, and I was just like, but I don't know how, but I found Carrot Cast and I listened to it, and I was just, it was perfect.
Dude, I love it. the whole 1% per day thing that I did a whole podcast on this, guys. Go check it out. I think it's called the 1% Journey. It's in the archives. Go check it out. carrotcast.com or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever they are. But like he said, it's a big deal because with the challenge I tossed to carrot campers, I'm going to be doing the same thing at the end of the year. So every single year between Christmas and New Year's, I do like a big old end of the year webinar where I get hundreds of people on the call, and we just essentially like wrap the year, and then we get motivated and we plan the year. We plan the year ahead. This year, I'm going to do a similar talk to that. I'm going to do the 1% journey, and I'm going to be guiding people through and just like really starting to get their minds shifted. But I don't want it to be something where they think it's a New Year's resolution, because it's not. Like, it's not a New Year's resolution. It's completely rewiring your brain. And the cool thing, like he said, is his previous self would say, I've never done 50 push-ups in my life. Therefore, I probably can't do that, right? But then he started to believe that he could, and the path to doing that is by improving 1% a day. Or in this case, I don't know what the actual math is. It's actually far more than 1% with this, but it's the same thing. 1 push-up a day, 1 extra push-up a day, right? And dude, it's crazy, because now over a couple of weeks, now you're doing 50, and then 10 more days now from it, you're going to be doing 60 push-ups in a row. And then in about a month, dude, you're going to be almost cracking 100 push-ups as long as the train keeps going and you keep that consistency going, which I've been crazy proud of you, man, watching you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
For sure. So let me kind of reverse back to a mindset shift. Other than that one there that's more recent, do you remember any other mindset shifts that you've had to make over the years that is just critical? Man, like this thing for me, if other people would do this, this would completely change their life if they adopt this.
I think everything comes down to gratitude. I mean, being grateful for what you have. Like, so, I mean, I told you in the car, like, I grew up super poor, like just poor. We didn't have a lot of money. And so like, I am grateful for the money I have. I'm so grateful, like more than I think a lot of other people that grew up with money. Yeah. You know, I have a bad back, I had scoliosis. Like, I'm super grateful to be able to even walk. Like every morning I run. I hate running, but I do it anyways for the people that can't walk, can't use their legs. Like, that's awesome to me. But yeah, gratitude. You know, you gave us that gratitude box. I haven't opened it, but it was so funny because the day before, I had my girl go pick up some more thank you cards.
That's funny.
And so, but yeah, anyways, just being grateful and actually expressing the gratitude to people just goes so far. Because like I said, and you know, I was always like super grateful for people, but I didn't know how to express it. Like, and actually doing that is a game changer.
Dude, I love it, man. I've got a couple notes here that Brady wrote down for me, and in this last one here, I mean, you know, your company name, Kind House Buyers. I think it's such a perfect name for you as an individual. First of all, I mean, you're a kind dude, and your smile is infectious. When we were doing the plank challenge, and you crushed the loft record by so far. You probably just stopped because you knew we had to get on with the day. Like, you probably could have kept on going, but Keith now has he has the loft record, y'all. It's an international record at this point because Aaron Moore from Toronto came to a carrot camp, and he was the previous record holder before Brady on my team took it and did a 10-minute plank. And then Keith comes in and brings the record back to not back to America. Brady brought it back to America, but you are currently the undisputed international loft plank champion with it was like 12 minutes or something, wasn't it? Over 12 minutes?
12 minutes and 8 seconds.
That's insane. It's insane, dude. But just the whole time, I mean, just your smile is infectious. And this is something I want people to recognize and realize that in a business that we're in, it can be pretty cutthroat. In a business that we're in, a lot of people are going after the numbers and the metrics, and they're talking about their house sellers or buyers like they're numbers and not people. And one thing that really came across when you were talking up front to everybody during your presentation, also just elsewhere, is just your passion for the people, and it shows through. And I think that's going to be something that is a massive differentiator for you and for other people who choose to go and do business that way also. So what does that mean to you, man? What does Kind House Buyers as a company name mean to you? And is it more than just a name for you? And how do you really relay that to your clients when you work with them?
I mean, it's not more than just a name. You know, I just try to treat everyone the same.
Yep.
You know, when I very first started hearing, learning about investing, I learned about it from someone, and you know, the way he talked to his sellers was completely different than the way he talked to his investors. His investors were best buddies. The seller was like, "Ooh, let's see how much we could squeeze them for."
Yeah,
that was not going to be me. I stopped talking to that guy, but like, you know,
you just be yourself.
Like I was talking about the last employers. Like I wanted someone that was going to be kind to me. I love being kind to people. I love helping people. Like, and I just wanted like a mutually beneficial relationship, and everything just seems to work out. I know a lot of times, you know, like you said, it's cutthroat. I probably, you know, I might get taken advantage every once in a while, but I'm a pretty good judge of character. But you know what? You screw me over, I got you out of my life cheap. Yep. I'm never going to deal with you again. Like that's fine. And I found out exactly who you are. And I only surround myself with great people.
Dude, I absolutely love your mindset, man. And this one thing I forgot to ask you earlier, then we'll wrap this puppy up, is I think I saw a note after Carrot Camp. You went away, dove to our Facebook course. Dude, did you closed a deal from a Facebook lead, didn't you? Just recently, or you like from the Facebook?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I hadn't done any Facebook ads, you know, down in South Texas. I didn't need to. But yeah, I never did anything before. Didn't know how to do it. I just followed your guys' Facebook course. And within the first 3 weeks, I closed the deal, and yeah, it was gold. So
it's a novel idea, guys. Like you take the instruction, you implement it, you ask questions when you have questions, and it works. It works, man. So I'm pumped, man, that's working for you. I'm pumped Carrot's working for you. I'm crazy excited you're doing things in your market that others aren't doing, that they're probably kind of giving up on because they're looking at some of the sexier stuff. You're doing the Bandit signs, it's working. You're doing the you know, the Craigslist and the Facebook marketplace. You're doing RVMs and everything. So man, I'm so happy for you. And like I said in the message the other day, I think it was through Vox or maybe text message, but I'd be pumped to have you back down here. Anytime you want to come back down here, hang out at the office, do some work, do another workout, go out in nature. I'd be excited as heck to hang out with you some more. So Keith, I appreciate you coming on the Carrot Cast. Hopefully it's not our last episode together. I want to bring you back as you start to dive in and you start to build your team. I think that would be a really good kind of Keith's next version of the story. Whatever that team looks like, let me know if there's any things that we can help you with. I'd be excited to document that later, man. But any parting words as we wrap from the Carrot Cast for people that are looking to either get into wholesaling or maybe they're already in it. They're just really looking to get better results and build a business that has more meaning.
I mean, if you're just trying to get into it, I mean, this might sound pitchy, but I'd say start with Carrot. Like I got Carrot, like I said, 6 months before I even launched. And, you know, I was able to use all these really cheap, you know, Craigslist, Facebook, wherever, and just and post my site there while I was, you know, creating some authority, getting the roots dug in. So now I'm actually getting organic traffic. Mm-hmm. But it's, you know, I hear a lot of people saying you don't need Carrot or you don't need a website to start. Yeah, but, you know, in a really competitive market, I'd say do it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, a year from now, you wish you started today, because that's about how long it took to, you know, to really start. You know, I got like 20 organic visitors this week, but that was from a year of work. Anyone that's, you know, thinking about giving up, like, you know what they say, like, most people give up 3 feet from gold. Mm-hmm. Like, don't give up. It's, I mean, unless you just hate the business, but I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do business. And if you're doing it the right way, like, I said, don't give up.
I love it. Keith, man. Thanks for investing the time with us. Once again, appreciate that, Katia, for lighting us up down here at Carrot Camp. It was such a mate. I keep on talking with my team and other people. Every Carrot Camp was awesome, but this group, I don't know, there was something cool about it. There was something really special about just the connection that people had. I think it was a great mix of people in general. It was a lot of fun, man, and you were definitely one of the characters that jumps out in my mind a lot. I'm like, man, that Keith guy, I love him. So appreciate you, buddy. Congrats on the success up to this point, and excited to be alongside you on the journey. Guys, if you want to follow Keith, just go kindhousebuyers.com. Go check him out, or if you have a house to sell him, go to kindhousebuyers.com. And like Keith said, I think the biggest thing there, y'all, is number one, have a plan and stick to it. Things don't always happen immediately. It takes a little bit of work. It takes sticking to something. And do lots of different marketing methods in this competitive market. Oftentimes, it's not just going to be just one thing. You might have to do 3, 4, 5, 6 things to really get a deal here a month, get a deal here a month, get a deal here a month, and it starts to add up. But Keith, thank you, man. Have an amazing rest of the week, and we'll get you on another Carrot Cast.
Thank you so much, Trevor. Have a great day.